we're here to hear Alyse speak to us about her recent journey to Spain and France, where she went on her Camino. So Alyse is going to talk for about half an hour, and then we'll have a chance for some questions and answers. And then we'll see how we go. We've got some tea and coffee to come a little later. So please join me in welcoming Alyse.
Hi, so 3 months ago I walked 800 kilometres or 500 miles from Saint-Jean-Pierre-de-Port, which is in France, to Santiago de Compostela in Spain on a pilgrimage known as the Camino de Santiago. It was the most mentally, physically and emotionally challenging adventure I have ever done, but I would 100% do it again. As each day I gained a deeper sense of God's presence in my life, a greater sense of community as I met like-minded people, and a greater understanding of who I am. So in this talk, I will talk about what it's like to be a pilgrim and how the Camino guides a pilgrim in a different pace of life, and some stories of God's providence on the way. And hopefully, as I take you on this journey, it may also encourage you to possibly follow in the footsteps of St. James and join the many other pilgrims who take this journey on foot and rediscover the call to adventure. Okay. So the Camino de Santiago is a network of routes that lead to Santiago de Compostela, a city that holds the relics of St. James, the apostle of Jesus. There's a movie called The Way, and that inspired me to take this particular pilgrimage. In the movie The Way, Martin Sheen, who plays Tom, did the French way, which is this one here, starts in France on the border. So this is the one that I took. It takes you through the Pyrenees, the Basque wine region, the Meseta Desert, eucalyptus forests, and finishes in glacier. It's the most popular route, with 350,000 people taking this journey on foot every year. So it took me 35 days to walk 800 kilometres, doing an average of 20 kilometres a day. The day-to-day life of a pilgrim starts by waking up at 5 a.m. So when I walked the Camino, it was during the June and July summer months, where the temperatures would be in the high 30s. So I'd wake up before the sunrise so that there'd be more time to walk in the cool morning. From the night before, my bag would already be packed, so I can quickly and quietly leave the albergue. Albergue is the Spanish word for pilgrim hostel. These albergues are big rooms that hold many bunk beds, some albergues having like 100. So it's here that you learn to sleep anywhere with all the sounds. I slept really well because I had, well, not really. I kind of slept well when I had my earbuds in my ears and they would play white noise, which is like sounds of waterfalls and rain. I thought when I come back to Adelaide, I'm going to be deaf because how loud I'd had the white noise playing in my ears, just to drown out the sounds of all the snoring people. And so at 5 a.m, there are no shops that are opened. They usually open around 8 or 9. So I'd have packed a banana or a bread roll from the day before, and that'd give me enough energy to walk 3 hours before going to a cafe for a cup of coffee and a tortilla. So un tortilla, café con leche, por favor, was the most essential Spanish phrase I used every day. 50% of the time, I would walk with other pilgrims, and the rest, I would walk on my own. I enjoyed so much walking with other pilgrims, particularly Mikkel from Denmark, who sang with me along the long stretches of the Meseta Desert. We'd sing Twist and Shout and songs by Elton John and Queen, and as we'd walk, our walking poles, there would be our microphones, and we'd dance, and it was just so much fun. one time, Mikkel and I found a bar that had a guitar, and so we sang for hours. We sang for hours, and many pilgrims joined us as we all just sat down and had a beer. I've got a video actually. Yeah. So this Camino spirit of all just coming together and singing, we're all tired, but we're all just so excited to just be together. We're all on a big pilgrimage together, so that's a one type of yeah. Sabina is a girl from Germany who I met. This was a different type of company where we walked side by side in silence because we were so comfortable being in the stillness and the silence together. We'd listen to the birds and the wind in the morning as we walk underneath the stars and as the sun came up, and we had like fields of wheat and vineyards all around us. It was really special. We walked from sunrise to midday just in silence. It was really special. While I walked a lot with people, I also intentionally walked on my own, so I had the space to enter into deep reflection. Okay. So the towns and villages that I would walk through were sometimes 3 or 4 kilometers apart, and sometimes 20. So I would, every time I had a chance to refill my water, grab a snack or coffee or cake, I would. And it would be around 1 p.m. that I'd get hungry for lunch, and it's usually that once I've had lunch, it means no more walking for the rest of the day. So I'd go into the hotel, the albergue. Okay, I'd go into the albergue in town and ask if they had a bed for me. A few times, because they were full, they didn't. So this means I'd just walk to the next town. Sometimes it would mean walking another 7 kilometers. So after checking into my albergue, I would shower, nap, wash my clothes in the sink, get dressed into the clothes that I'll be wearing tomorrow, and the remaining hours of the day meant calling family, a friend from home, and having beer with pilgrims, dinner, and then sleep before the sun sets. The sun in Spain sets around 10 and 10:30, and I'd never see the sunset because I'd be out by 9. Yeah. The Camino life is walk, eat, drink, sleep, repeat. There's nothing complicated about it. It was the most simplest time in my life, where the things I craved the most was a cold glass of water. I think about when will I eat next and where's the toilet, whereas at home people would be stressing because they couldn't decide what movie to watch on Netflix. So walking for hours and hours allowed me to have such a clear mind and helped me to think and appreciate the really important things in life and look forward to really simple things. I met many pilgrims along the way. Mikkel from Denmark said he was walking the Camino because he wanted to learn to slow down, and the pace of the Camino, the simple life that it provides, also allowed him to grieve his mother. Pedro from Madrid grew up with social anxiety and was walking to gain self-confidence. As soon as he finished the Camino, he took a bus back and walked the last 100 kilometers again. Jeong from Korea needed a break from her demanding life and told her parents she was going on a business trip. Business with God. I like that, yeah. But she was walking the Camino, so this pilgrimage provides an experience for everyone. People take this journey on foot, not just for religious reasons, but the Camino offers the space for deep reflection and inspiration for everyone. Okay. The reason I was walking the Camino was to discern my vocation. At first, this was the initial reason. It was a huge thing to discern religious life, and to offer my life to God completely got me thinking whether or not I was free to make that decision. Completely free. Over a 5-day silent retreat back in 2020, I'd slowly come to know of the chains I had in my life, areas where I'm not truly free. Instead, maybe I'd be making decisions based on for approval of others, decisions made out of fear rather than a self-giving love, or even chains from patterns of behaviors developed from as early as childhood that could be like defensive mechanisms or anxieties that rob the mind of clarity. This burden too does not provide the freedom to make clear decisions. So if a decision is not made out of love, it could lead to resentment in the future and bitterness. So I felt in me the need to go away from the many influences around me and to find out who I really am and what do I want, and to be able to give my whole self to God in whatever way He asks. So in June last year, I booked my tickets to Spain, and it was a real calling to adventure. I had seen God's hand in my life, leading me up to this moment, continually and gently pushing me towards taking this journey. Something that I could feel deep within me, hard to communicate to others, and so many people didn't understand why I'd go away for so long. So it took me a long time before I actually told Mum and Dad, so I bought tickets to Spain. I'm going away for 3 months. As the days came closer to leaving for Europe, I saw more and more God's hand in my life. Even just being able to take such a long time off work and with a job to come back to is a miracle in itself. Leading up to my departure, I'd pray, asking God to prepare my heart, and I would feel more and more the personal responsibility I owe to God and to the people around me to break these chains and to be able to love with a real self-giving love. If it's not love, it's not love if it's not free. So the initial reason to walk the Camino was to discern religious life. Maybe God used that pull in me to book the tickets, but once the tickets were booked, I came to understand that maybe the deeper reason to do the Camino was because there was some internal work that needed to be done. Even before I start discerning, I needed to unwind my insides, allow God to break some chains and clear the clutter in my heart, and I just needed to lay down the burdens. Oh, I spelled I made a mistake. That's on. That's on. Okay. Alright. So, the first day of the Camino went like this. I arrived at the train station, Saint John Pierre de Port, 16th of June, and met the owner of the albergue, who gave me so much advice. It was like a spiritual preparation. He said, I'm not doing the Camino because I have something to prove to someone. I have nothing to prove to nobody, not even myself. I'm not doing it in pride, but to empty myself and let God see me. It's in humility that I do this walk, because God gives me the grace and strength to go day after day. And then he quotes St. Augustine, "Whoever thinks he can do it on his own does not understand himself or whom he seeks." So this is not your normal check into your accommodation conversation, but it was pretty much after this conversation that I realized I can't do this on my own. My own strength will not get me there, and I will really encounter the realities of my limitations and weaknesses. So I was really nervous on the first day, and fair enough, because everyone says the first day is the hardest. It's the hardest because you go straight into the Pyrenees, a grueling uphill ascent of 1,400 meter elevation. So this picture, leaving town behind, I turn around and I take this picture uphill. This is the start of the Camino. So as I walk along, there are picturesque views. There's mountains that surround me at each turn, and it's a winding road, and the scene changes as I walk around each bend. And as the sun rises, the colors spread across the sky. How can it not lift your heart up towards God? Okay. So about 4 hours into walking, I reached the top of the mountain. I reached the top of a mountain. Okay, there are many mountains in just this one day. At top of a mountain, and to my delight, I see a food truck. I really needed it, yeah. Pilgrims have stopped for a break. This is the view from the top of a mountain that day.
It's a good place for a food truck.
Oh, yeah. A cup of coffee, a cafe con leche. Okay. So it's here where I meet Robert, who was walking to Santiago de Compostela from Holland. His total walk would be 2,250 kilometers, and my walk's only 800. So he shares with me a lot of tips and tricks of walking the long distances. He says, drink lots of water. Carry 1.5 liters of water with you all the time, all right? Drink lots of water and keep drinking every 20 minutes, just so that you aren't thirsty. It's important because your body needs to flush out all the lactic acid that your muscles produce, otherwise you get cramps at night. Then he says, during your breaks, take your shoes and socks off because you need your feet to dry out. Put on a new pair of socks, keep the moisture out of your shoes to prevent blisters. And then, of course, travel light. So my backpack weighed 6 kilos, which is pretty light. It's pretty light. Okay.
How heavy is 1.5 kilos? Oh, sorry, 1.5 liters of water.
Oh, 1.5 kilos.
Okay.
Yeah.
A liter is 1 kilo.
That's it. Yeah, thanks. So it was really great that I met Robert. I really needed that advice. I didn't see him again until 20 days later. Everyone has their own pace, and you meet people and you don't see them again until like as a surprise later. So 20 days later, I saw Robert, but it was maybe one time, like more than halfway through the Camino. One time I was like 200 kilometers away from Santiago de Compostela, the destination, and it was a hot day. It was 37 degrees. It was really, really hot, and I was walking on my own, and I was keeping up with my water, except that I took a sip and then I ran out, and so I got really worried because I had 3 or 4 more kilometers to go, and I didn't know if there was a fountain on the way to the town, and so I was like tossing up between go ahead, keep walking before the heat gets too hot, or just stop. But it's like in the middle of nowhere, so you can see I was a bit worried. And I asked God, I say, hey, look, yeah. Fair enough, it's real. I was like, look, can you give me a hand? And I turn around and I see Robert. It was such a surprise to see him 20 days later. Yeah, so it was his 100th day on the trail. Keep in mind, he walked from Holland. And I told him I had run out of water, and he offered to give me some of his, and I only needed 20 milliliters, but he gave me 600, more than I needed. And for him, yeah, he told me how important it really was to keep an eye on my water because someone had died a couple of days earlier from heat stroke. In fact, on the trail, 2 people died. It was very hot, and yeah, it's a trail that will challenge you, and so you really need to accept your limitations and prepare well for the day. So, okay. If people have seen the movie The Way,
Yes.
yeah, okay, they would know that it's tradition to carry something with you that represents a burden, usually a rock. You'd carry the rock along the Camino. So about 1 week before reaching Santiago de Compostela is the Cruz de Ferro, or the Iron Cross, which stands on the highest peak of the route. People carry the rock and lay it at the foot of this cross. There was a person walking the Camino who was carrying their wedding ring. They had just finished the process of divorce, and for them the Camino was a way to reflect on their life and in healing, carry this wedding ring to leave it at the significant place, a way of letting go, moving on from a relationship. It reminded me of the Lord of the Rings, where Frodo carries him up to the mountain. Precious. Yeah. Precious. Yeah. Many people carried photos of deceased family and friends, people who they needed to leave in God's hands. At the Iron Cross, you'll find many rosaries and notes and ribbons. It's really a place where you can feel the prayers. So before I left for Europe, my nana gave me a small cross, which is that one there, a small cross to take with me along the Camino, and she asked me to carry it and leave it at the Cross de Ferro. I didn't know what this meant to her. I didn't know the significance of this cross. But for me, it represented burdens that had been passed down from generations that I could leave with God. Through generations, a lot gets passed down. Diseases, traumas, expectations, just burdens. When I arrived at the Iron Cross, the sun was coming up over the mountain, and I stayed there in stillness for 3 hours, witnessing the sobs and the prayers and the many cries of the pilgrims as they were letting go of burdens that they'd been carrying. Yeah. I called Nana and Papa, and we prayed a Hail Mary for the family. It really was a special moment. I recently asked Nana what the cross meant to her, and she said it was her mum's. So that was just so fitting. So I was carrying this cross for generational burdens, and wow, I didn't know that. So being sensitive to other people is something that I learned. It's really important. Everyone carries things close at the surface on their chest. People tell you their stories as they try to process it along the Camino. And so everyone's quite vulnerable. Learning to be compassionate with others and also with yourself as you encounter the pain and the hurt that was put down for a long time. So letting God also love me in such vulnerability and in such dependence on Him was something that made the Camino really special. I don't think I've ever been. It's you put yourself in a real dependency on God on the Camino. You're a pilgrim. Jesus says, if anyone wants to be my disciple, they must deny themselves and take up their crosses daily and follow me. So the suffering of our burdens is purifying. When we suffer, we are challenged and we grow. And when we are close to the Lord in our suffering, we're close also in the resurrection. Did you know that the Camino is recognized as such a transforming pilgrimage that parts of Europe have a young offenders program? So this is where, like courts, instead of sentencing a young offender to prison, they'd offer them the chance to walk the Camino with an adult, usually a retired constable.
A ball and chain as well between them.
Oh no, I hope not. So the time away from their peers and space to enter into these deep moments of reflection have enormous benefits, especially for adolescents who could be entering into a criminal career. So some of the benefits of the Camino is the beauty that you encounter every day. Seeing the sunrise every single day, walking past fields of wheat and vineyards and fields of sunflowers. It really lifts your heart to God, whether you're religious or not. It's a spiritual experience to adore God's creation. Exercise and the discipline that it demands, day after day, walking 20 kilometers. So I had a deadline. I wanted to be in Santiago by the 23rd of July. And so there were many times I didn't feel like walking, but you got to do it. Yeah. Of course, I'd take a few rest days when I needed, but yeah, it's a lesson that you can take back to everyday life to keep going as well. Direction. So there is so much purpose and direction on the Camino. Sometimes in life, in back at home, maybe there's no direction in life. You don't know what to do. But on the Camino, all you got to do is eat, drink, sleep, repeat. Alright, you know exactly what you need to do, and
You forgot walk.
oh, far out! Oh my goodness, yeah. I'm gonna get out of here. Yeah, walk, yeah, thank you. Yeah, so there is direction, and you know clearly what you need to do each day. Okay, then lastly, and really importantly, community. To have friends to share your experiences with. It's really important to have support with you while you're on the Camino. Also, walking with other pilgrims, coming together, it's a sense of belonging. When you're all doing the same thing, you get strength from others when you're tired, and you see people just keep going. It gives you strength as well. Community is, I think, the biggest thing that I was really special on the Camino. A few big community moments for me was a donativo, which is an albergue, which you need a donation, which would you stay if you donated. Donativo. If you had enough money, you'd give a donation, and even if you didn't have enough money, you could take from the donation plate. Usually these are usually run by a parish, church, and this one you can see that we didn't even have beds. We just slept on the mats. But this one is special because the pilgrims made dinner in the kitchen for everyone who stayed there that night.
Wow.
Yeah. While dinner was being made, Mikel and I entertained everyone, and we played a few songs. I've got another video. After dinner, there was a chain to wash the dishes. So there would all be like tubs, and we'd all wash the dishes in a line and with songs as well. It was such a community vibe. You'd never, well, maybe you might, but the spirit of the Camino, I feel like this is the height of it, where you don't know the person next to you, but you do know that you're doing the same thing, and it's just it's cool. Another community thing also is the Camino de Santiago finishes in Santiago de Compostela, and Stella is something about stars. The Camino follows the way of the Milky Way, so it's really important to do a night hike. I've done a few night hikes in Adelaide, and it's something I really enjoy. I think as an Australian, you're just more courageous than many other places in the world, because half of our animals are nocturnal, and so the night hikes I've done, the snakes are hunting, and the spiders are making their webs, and the kangaroos are jumping, and they it's a real sound, and the koalas, that sound as well. So yeah, that's cool. I was keen to do a night hike. It's funny because I was with people from Korea and Germany, US and Britain, and the sound of a cow terrified them.
Don't give me the cows in the city.
Yeah, there you go, that's probably why. Yeah.
New York or what?
It was funny. So we started walking at midnight, and it was a 6-hour walk. It was a 22-kilometer walk. But the first 3 hours were amazing. It was so much fun. We spent 20 minutes. We spent 20 minutes sitting on the path in the middle of nowhere and just stargazing. It was just so nice. I was with 9 other people. One of them a priest as well.
Which one?
This guy here. This one. He ain't wearing his collar, so. No, he's from, he was a lot of fun. So, yeah, just watching the stars for 20 minutes with 9 other people, and we're all young, it was really special. The first 3 hours were fun, we were talking, there was so much excitement, and then the next 3 hours weren't so, because we were so tired, we were sleepwalking, but it's amazing what your body can do when you're pushed. So yeah, I blurred my eyes. I had the rhythm of my walking sticks and my walking. My brain switched off. Yeah. And it was at night, so we had our headlamps with us, and I was just seeing the light in front of me, and I was just sleepwalking, like totally tuned out everything. And the 3 hours, all of us did that. No one talked to each other. But along the way, we did pass the 100 kilometers to go mark, and that was such an achievement that we all just got so excited about. But yeah, so we arrived at the city, the town we were at 6 a.m. and we hadn't booked a place to sleep, so we slept on the benches, and it was great.
Very convincing.
Honestly, if you're doing that hike, do not start at midnight. Start before the sun sets, because then you can see a beautiful sunset. And yeah, make sure you get a good sleep. Yeah. But I think what I'm trying to say here, to wrap this bit up, was when you're pushed and you're struggling all together, that's another sense of community, where you really bond well when you're going through hard times together. It's a real bonding there. Okay. So walking the Camino was the best thing I could ever do for myself. I learned that with God's help I can accomplish some pretty cool things, and I don't have to doubt myself so much because I can trust that God is with me every day.
Yeah.
So this photo, this one, was me at the Santiago de Compostela. I arrived.
Beautiful.
And I was so overwhelmed when I got there. There were so many tears. I had such a sense of accomplishment, but also a sense of gratitude. Just a thank you to myself. I wonder if you understand that. I felt that there was like an inside of me that was a bit bound, like Lazarus coming out of the grave. And then Jesus says, unbind Lazarus and go on your way. It was such a big moment. So I'm so grateful for this experience. And this adventure into the unknown, really, in the unknown of my mind, and in these reflections, you don't know how much you carry until you let it go. So I've made so many memories, met so many amazing people, allowed myself to let go and let God work in me and provide for me and lead me. And it's something that I would want everyone to experience. Okay. Anyone got any questions? Oh wow. So Kansas?
Is there anything that you didn't bring with you initially that sort of halfway through the journey you went, I should have brought this?
There were things that I left on the way. Like I was like, I actually haven't used this. I'm not going to use it. Okay, so things that I wish I did bring. No, I learned that I could. Oh no! Let me tell you this one. So I brought a sleeping bag with me, but it was summer, and so I was like, I didn't use it. And then as I got further into the mountains, which is like the highest peak, I kind of regretted letting that go. I would just use my towel.
So it's cold in the peaks, but not in the lowlands.
That's it. Yeah. But apart from that, you really can use anything. No. As in, I carried enough. It's very simple. You don't really need that much in a day.
No.
Yeah.
Would your clothes really dry overnight adequately?
Yeah. So 6 kilos. I had 3 changes of clothes. They were all quick dry clothes. I purposely bought them to be lightweight and quick to dry. So
Cotton? What? No.
I don't know. I don't know. The shop person. I'm sorry. They're all like outdoor type clothes. Yeah. Sorry, I don't know your name.
You speak very well.
Oh, thank you.
Can I ask you, what are the origins of the Camino, the walk?
Ah, yes. St. James, there's a story. that St. James walked this one. His bones and his remains was found around Santiago de Compostela, and that's where his relics are kept in the cathedral. So people just to follow the way of St. James. Camino de
James the
Santiago.
Apostle, see that?
St. James the Apostle. Yeah, I think it's Big James. So Camino de Santiago means walk of St. James.
Do you know the reason why he did that?
Oh no, I don't know.
He's spreading the good news.
Yeah, probably. I don't know. I'm sorry.
They didn't have buses back then.
Yes.
How'd you go with coronavirus?
Oh yeah, so this guy, Juan Carlos, he got COVID, and he just had to isolate. So we went ahead, and a few pilgrims got COVID on the way, and they just have to. It really interrupts the Camino, especially if they have a deadline. They have to isolate for whatever the Spanish rules are. It could be a week, or it really is such an interruption. But yeah, I didn't get COVID on the way. In fact, I was really healthy on the way. Yeah.
You have to do all the 100 kilometres, or you can do parts of it. Is that correct?
Yeah. So there was a few people I walked with who stopped at their Camino finished at like a city called Borges, another Burgos, I don't know how to pronounce it. Another one, they didn't go all the way. Some people start again where they left, but you can get a certificate at the cathedral, near the cathedral at the Santiago de Compostela, to say, oh, you walked the Camino. In order to do that, you just have to walk 100 kilometers. But this,
You carry cash or credit card? Or you can,
yeah, that's a good question. In the cities like Lyon and Burgos and that, you'd be all right to take your credit card. But there's a lot of villages that are out in the middle of nowhere, and you need cash. Yeah, they won't take. They're quite a traditional walk, and that's just the way of life there. They're not changing. How much did it cost?
Of the albergue.
Yeah, so the pilgrim albergues, there would be between 8 and 10 euros. If you're paying more than 10 euros, dinner would be usually provided by the owners, which is pretty nice. But there is also some donativos where it's up to you, and that's usually church provided. I'll ask the guy back.
Alyse, tell us about the preparation for this walk. What information did you procure to prepare you?
So I binge watched a lot of videos on YouTube. There's a lot of vloggers out there, vloggers who do these long trails, and they go through their packing list of what they pack, all the way down to I bought this from. And it's this brand, and the reason why I bought it, so there was like the whole packing side of it that I prepared by watching the videos. But the mental preparation, I don't think I did. I don't think I had no expectations of how my experience would go. That's why when, like, it was my first day, it kind of hit me at that. My first day, I was like, I got nervous. Only after the guy told me, hey, all this stuff about, you're not doing this in pride. You're going to, I really thought, this is, I'm going to really be encountering
Did you
what
do
my
any
weaknesses
physical preparation?
Yeah, I did. Yes, I did some trails in Adelaide. Which is nothing, really. So the Yarra Villa Trail is only 50 kilometres. And this one was 800, so I did Mount Lofty a couple of times, and that's the only thing you can do in Adelaide. There ain't no mountains that can compare to 1,400 elevation.
You went to
Oh, I
Tasmania.
went to Tasmania in February. Yeah, I did the Walls of Jerusalem National Park, and still that wasn't 20 kilometres a day. That was just 12. Yeah, yes, Ken.
Did you take a mobile phone while you were on the trail, and was it like a Spanish SIM card or like an international roaming thing?
Yeah, fair enough. I had 2 phones with me. I had a bigger holiday, so I made sure I had, just in case something happens to my phone. If I lose it, if it's stolen, there's I was told pickpocketing happens in France and Spain, so I just made sure I had another phone. The phone, I have one phone which is like my Australian SIM card and all that stuff, but the other phone works in Australia. It's a Vodafone one where it just covered all the countries that I was going to. I paid for roaming, which is really, but Wi-Fi is there, but it's not guaranteed, especially out in the middle of nowhere. Yeah. Dad? Oh, Dad?
Did you have any low points in this whole thing?
Yeah. One time I went to Leon. I needed to change my shoes because the base of my shoe was really not good. So I went to the shops to get a shoe, and I was dirty, man. Like, you just come off the trail and you just dust all over you, and you're off the trail now. It's like Rundle Mall. You go through Rundle Mall, but I had a backpack on me, and I was sweaty, and I probably stunk. But man, just being in that state makes you quite self-conscious. Also, the fact that you can't get help, like people avoid you. That sucked, and it really shook me a bit, actually. Yeah.
Is it a young person's walk?
There were so many young people I met on the walk. It was so nice. But it's not just a young person's walk. I met a 90-year-old who did it, which was amazing. There's a lot of older people too. A lot of married people who do that together. It'd be amazing. If you could do that, stay with that one person for so long on the trail. Yes.
So, is it well marked, the walk? Like you said, you went on your own, a little bit.
Yeah.
So, can you get lost?
Oh, okay. So, I did get lost once. That was because I was walking really early in the morning. I met this girl who was just like, I'm gonna start walking at 4:30, and I'm like, yeah, all right. And so we walked, and we just missed the sign because it was night, and we just missed the sign. And so about like only 5 minutes in, we realized we were off the trail because we couldn't find it. And so we just walked back. But luckily it was only 5 minutes, but I've heard stories of other people who just got completely lost. It's not funny, yes. I'm kidding you. Yeah. No, but apart from at night time, it's really well marked. There are big posts, big signs, and there's like a shell. The logo or the icon of the Camino is the shell. The shell, and if you see that, there's always an arrow underneath it or yellow lines. Sometimes you're out in the middle of nowhere and there's no buildings around, and so there's no way you can paint an arrow. So people just put like rocks and they put it in the shape of an arrow, and you just follow that. Yeah, it's cool. Yeah.
Alyse, you said also that you had blisters on your toes, and they told you how to deal with that.
Yes, that's something I learnt. Unfortunately, I learnt it quite late on. So I had 2 major blisters, and they were on the heel of my my foot. Do you want the details? Okay, yeah, all right. So every night, I'd sterilize a needle, and I carried alcohol wipes in my first aid kit. The first aid kit's what I also carry in my backpack. I just make sure that my blister was clean and my needle was clean, and I'd stick the needle in and I'd drain out all the juice, and just let that breathe overnight. You need to pop it. You need to.
Blisters.
Otherwise, you get blisters on blisters. And there was this girl I met who had 24 blisters.
Oh,
And poor girl, yeah. But I didn't. I only had 3. In the end, I only had 3. Yeah.
3 too many.
Yes, yeah.
And
They got pretty big if you don't do them, because I learned that one. I didn't know what to do. People use Compede. Have you heard of that? No? Okay, so it's this it's like a bandage, but it's like a bit more skin-like. So it's not rubbing, and it's like completely sticks to your skin. But it didn't work for me, so I just popped them on. Yeah.
You've mentioned people going on the walk alone and people going on the walk with like spouses and so on.
Yeah.
Did you see any just like a family unit there?
Oh, I did.
Yeah.
There was a family walking together. They were really nice. They were from Canada. Yeah, so the kids were on holidays. I met a 9-year-old who was walking with her father. Yeah, it's so cool. There was a baby. You're too slow.
This is how you're gonna learn.
But there was a real courageous mother who carried the family as well. Who carried the baby. But you know, I carry 6 kilos, and it's just things that I need. But babies don't drink like coffee. They can't like eat things at a cafe.
Yeah.
So you're gonna have to also take food, which is something else. There's kudos to her. But yeah, there were all different types of families as well. Really cool. A lot of school groups as well, which is really loud. Yeah. Yes, class?
So, what was your budget?
Oh,
Or what is the budget that?
yeah. So on the Camino, the things you're paying for is what you're eating. It's like $8 to $10 for a bed. If you sleep on a bench, you don't have to pay anything. Yeah, so every day, maybe I don't know, 30 euros. I don't know, just in case. So that times 30 or 40 for 40 days. Yeah.
And the people that passed away was because they were lost or because they?
I heard one died from heat stroke. I don't know about the other. But did you know that if you die on the Camino, you can have a cross put up along the
something to look forward to. Look forward
Oh goodness! But there were so many crosses that I passed on the Camino, and it really makes you aware.
Over how many hundreds of years? Is it
Yeah,
like 2000?
it's been a long. I don't know. It's a very traditional, medieval times. I know that one. Yeah. But just walking past these crosses, it really makes you aware that you're also a human. And just the heat of the sun, it really is something. And things like that.
When's the best time to travel? Oh, sorry.
Best time to travel?
Yeah.
Not summer, autumn. Spring and autumn would be good. But it's really popular during summer though. So if you don't want too many people, it depends.
So
then
spring or summer.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Alyse, how did the on that same topic, how did the bushfires and the heat impact on you?
Okay, so when I was walking, I came across some bushfires. There was a lot of bushfires, and it's not like Australia because the people in Spain might not be used to that, and it made it worse because they put it on themselves to backburn their own places, and that kind of contributed to the problem. There was a civil guard, which is like the police, who said, no walking today, you're not allowed to walk. One time we did anyway. One time we had to take a bus to the next city. So these bushfires were really on the news, And I called mum and dad. I'm like, hey, so you probably heard that there's bushfires going on. I'm alright. I'm just taking the bus to just around. And then I just forgot to talk to them for a couple of days. And so like, Dad's calling me at your guys at Adelaide's 4:30 a.m. time, and he's like, "Are you okay? You okay?" And I'm like, "Yeah, what?" Yeah. So yeah, bushfires is something that's not normal. I think it's just this odd year.
At least did you encounter any smokers? Any smokers?
Yeah, so smoking is a culture, definitely in Spain and France. It's just a thing.
Fires as well.
Yeah. Smoking is everywhere. Australia is the one I think that really doesn't have that too much. Yeah.
I'm not sure if you've been to Queensland, but that's not universal.
Oh wow.
Are there any buses that take people from one place to another? Are there many?
Yeah, so people do the Camino in many different ways. People cycle it, that's the thing. People also just take a bus. It's just about making a journey. Of course there's the physical part of it if you're walking and cycling, but you're still making a journey even if you're on the bus, and not knowing where to stay in a night is part of that journey, and that's how to do the Camino. It's just to go and not know, just allow for God's providence. Yeah. So you can take a bus stop by stop along the Camino if you're unable. Yeah.
That's how it was in the early scriptures, sweetheart. The Anakim.
Buses.
The Anakim. The Anakim. There's people who rely purely on God.
Yeah.
Talk about Mary and all of them. They just relied purely on God's providence, as you said.
That's true.
The Anakim.
Yes, Aiden?
So I have two questions. One is, what happened to those initial reasons that you went on the Camino? And the other one is, if you were carrying a first aid kit, 3 changes of clothes, 1.5 litres of water, but it was only 6 kilos, what else did you buy?
Bible?
No, I didn't. The bag weighs something.
Sleeping bag.
Oh, I did carry a sleeping bag and then I got rid of it, and then I regretted that. I had a towel.
How did you charge your mobile phones?
Yeah, electricity stuff. So I had like the adapter, the power bank weighed a bit. I had the extra phone.
Toiletries? Sure.
Yeah, a few toiletries as well.
Passport.
Yeah. Well, yeah. My important documents. I can like send you my packing list if you want.
Stilettos.
Yeah, sandbags.
My stilettos, yeah.
Little black dress.
Yeah. Oh, right.
Only the bear.
No. So the first question. So I realized that I probably wasn't in the right time to discern religious life, and I just would be more open to either way, but I guess the internal work needed to be done first. Yes.
Very good.
And that Camino was that internal work.
Yeah, it really is a process of letting go and deep reflection and having the space to deal with things. Yeah. Yes, Mum.
Apart from asking for coffee in Spanish, what were some of the other language barriers you encountered?
Beer, that's it. I don't know how to say beer in Spanish, but this works.
Telephone.
Finding a bed, I had a few problems. There's an expectation to know how to speak Spanish in Spain. In France, that was really hard. I can't do French, and if you try and they can see that you're trying, it's good. But as long as you are not like arrogant and just be like, listen to my language. But all the pilgrims that I met also spoke English, and a lot of people were fluent in Spanish. I kind of like they were my translators most of the time. Like Pedro from Madrid, he's from Madrid. There was I did all right with the languages, but yeah, I think the way around it is to keep notes on your phone, but yeah,
You've
it
done
was all
very
right.
well. You've done very well.
Yes,
anyway.
exceptionally
Yeah.
well.
Were there many churches along the way?
Yes, there are many churches. Before you start, every day there's a pilgrim mass at the beginning at the Saint Jean Pierre de Port, and there's a few more pilgrim masses as you go. They are done in a few different languages because it's pilgrims come from all over the world. Yeah, I managed to get to mass almost every Sunday. That was like providence by God. There was this one time when it was a Sunday and I didn't know where mass was. I mean, you can't just Google it like here. But I was with some people I was walking with, and we decided to walk around the town once we arrived, and we walked past the church and it was open, and I said, what time's mass? And they said, now. And I'm like, I'm going to mass, guys. And then they joined me, and that was cool too. Yeah.
Very good.
There was lots of churches, but not many people in Europe go to church actually. It's quite, no, as in young people. Yeah, that was a surprise. Yeah. Yes, sir.
Did you do any journaling along the way?
I was really tired.
Yeah. You did photo journals.
I did do journal, especially on my phone, like the really important things, like the aha moments and the things that grip me. Really, I made sure I put them on my phone. But when I arrived at Santiago de Compostela, the final place, I stayed there for like 5 days, and it was those 5 days where it was just for me to understand really what did I just do. And I journaled. I had a thing every single day. What did I do? Just going by through my photos and trying to remember what happened. Yeah. In the end, I do have a journal of it. Yeah. Yes.
Sorry.
No, you're good.
Obviously, a young girl. Did you feel safe?
Yes. Yes. Yes, I did feel safe. I really did. I think
Looking at your photos, mostly there's probably 80% men and only 20% women.
that's true.
But you felt safe.
I felt safe.
Yeah.
Of course, how to say this? Like when you're traveling, especially as a solo girl, you need to really quickly judge someone.
Yeah, I did it.
How do I say that? I know that sounds like don't judge.
So it's like risk assessment.
Yeah,
That's right. Well done, Alyse.
It was kind of pilgrims you can trust. I think that because you're all on some type of spiritual journey. But someone who doesn't have a backpack on them, I'm like, what are you doing? Like, why are you out in the middle of nowhere? I really felt safe, and that's just also part of God really looking after me. I think that's if I was to do this Camino again, I would still make sure I put time for myself to walk, because that really was the purpose. And the big moments was in that too.
Absolutely. Did you lose weight?
It was so funny. There were people who I was walking with, and I'm like, why are you doing the Camino? And they were like, I'm there to lose weight, and I'm like, I'm there to gain weight. And then I don't know how I can gain weight if I'm walking.
Muscles.
I didn't. Actually, my legs did get bigger, as in like the muscles. I have photos of like before and after, and I have some things. But no, I didn't. Oh, was it like 1 kilo I put on? Just one?
I can't remember.
Yeah.
Muscle weight.
Yeah, I was going to say you would have traded like body fat for muscle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would have lost inches and gained.
Okay. Yeah.
You still look beautiful, Alyse.
Any last questions? She's been up here for a long time.
Oh yes.
I was just hoping you could reflect on your. So when you came back to Australia, was there like a change in, I suppose, your
perspective, or just life in general, or how people treat each other and things like that?
Yeah.
Good question.
100%. Going back, I knew I'd be unrelatable. Just like the things that I'd want to talk about, like the conversations that I'd crave to have with people, which I did have on the Camino because everyone is in that space. I knew that would be hard to get back in Adelaide, to have an ear like that. Also, actually, when I finished the Camino, I was talking with a priest, and he's like, okay, so what do you want to take when you go back to Adelaide, and what do you want to change? And I'm like, well, I know, I think I'm gonna not fill my life up with too many things, because I really, really enjoy those times of reflection now. And I just want to incorporate that more in life, more like silent retreats and things like that.
No.
Ciao. So I came down that hill, that one there. The Iron Cross is on the other side, like a long way away. These are the hills, or mountains really. And you can see the city ahead. I don't even know what city that is. But oh my gosh, I love the purple flowers here. Everything is just beautiful. Alright. I think the city is called Ponferrada. Castle in the middle of the city, so there you go. Tick tick. But look how beautiful it is. It's so green and clean. Oh my gosh. I like this place. I like it much better. This is a guy, and he's got blisters. This is brilliant. All on his toes. Oh, he's got band-aids all over the place. Oh, so wonderful. Can't forget these details. And wow, he's very big. He's taller than me. Wow.
Seven